disagree with you, Mama. Can we change it?
One job can 25.
Just subtract my excess. Oh, there, yeah. Yeah, Mama. We're giving you morning. Wait, morning. Wait.
You gotta wait for Salike to put it.
Okay, are you gonna help Salike? Mama,
Mama, please. You can't do that.
Guys, yeah. We have to sing morning. Morning, wait. We have to sing, okay? We sing, then we code it, okay? So don't code it, guys. Don't code it. We have to sing first before we code it, okay? Okay, Mama? We sing, then we code it.
You go now. You wanna go sleep?
Mama.
You go sleep. Yes. If you couldn't, you go sleep.
Okay, we have to sing. Okay, can we now sing?
Happy birthday.
Good morning, family. As you can tell, today is my baby sister's birthday. So the house is in a much better mood today. And as you'll see on the cake, she is not turning 35. I was just trolling her. But I can assure you, this is a certified Gen Z in our family. In fact, our last borns are twins. The other half of the sister is not in Karating today. She's busy enjoying her birthday virtually somewhere in Nairobi. Now, some of you already know that as a family, we were born and raised 7 kids. And so our last borns were born in August, and we are celebrating their birthday this week. And most of us, out of the 7 of us, 2 are passed, and the 5 of us who are still here, most of us live outside the village, but we go back and forth. But whenever we find ourselves in the village with the twins, it's really exciting. And so today we'll just be cutting the cake and celebrating with the other half of the twin who is with us. So as we walk through that video, I'm going to talk about issues, money, and diaspora, sending money home, our responsibilities, and some of the things that we struggle with when it comes to supporting family and taking care of the commitments we have at home. So in this video, I'm just going to talk about 4 things. 1, I'll talk about the conditions that explain our financial commitments, how diasporans support families, some of the challenges we face while doing so, and lastly, I'm going to share some suggestions, as I always do in all my videos. So for those who already have read something about diaspora remittance, folks already know that Kenyans living abroad send over 600 billion shillings. And I think most of it comes from North America. And fortunately enough, this is probably one of the largest foreign exchange earners. And so what I'm talking about today is a serious deal for the country, but it's also a much more serious deal when it comes to families. So if you're not a Kenyan or if you're not an African and you don't understand why this happens, here are some 4 things that will probably give you a context as to how and why we send money. First, we come from a very communalist society where the group comes before the individuals. So it's not a surprise that we often work abroad and send money to support the larger groups. In fact, I think our system is almost a perfect definition of what this quote really means. You are your brother's keeper. We are taught to support the community and everybody else around us. And some of us, when we move to diaspora, we leave behind children and spouses. And sending money is one of the strongest ways to express love for the folks we leave behind. And of course, a little bit of it may have to do with poverty, where generally, because of poverty, we have to share the little we have. Now, another big explanation is the cultural conditioning, where a lot of us are conditioned to believe that children are a retirement plan for parents. It can be a problem in some ways, but it's a system we have lived with for years and years, where parents work very hard, put in everything to get their kids to do well, hoping that when the kids are in a better place, they get to support their parents. It works in many cases, in some cases it doesn't. And I've seen cases where people get guilt tripped into supporting older folks because of that. Now, the most important reason for me personally is that when we send money back home, this is almost a form of philanthropy, because we send money to support not just family members. We also contribute to communities in so many ways. There are so many diaspora folks who pay school fees, help in building schools, churches, and things like that. And so it's a form of philanthropy that is very typical of Africans living outside of Africa. And it feels good. So in general, we often send money to immediate family members, non-family members, professionals who are conducting projects for us. We send money to employees, because a lot of us actually employ folks in Africa. And some of us actually send money to our own personal accounts or personal bank accounts in Africa. And the monies we send home are often targeted to address all kinds of problems or all kinds of issues. For example, a big segment of what we send really just supports the daily needs of families, like rent, food, upkeep, tuition for kids, emergencies like illnesses, deaths, general needs like there's a wedding, community needs, you're building a school. Some of us actually support loans, either service our own loans or loans for family members. Many of us are involved in lots of investment projects, whether it's personal homes, rental homes, commercial buildings. There's lots of investment properties, whether it's agriculture, that we're involved in, that we send money to address. Now, some of this money also just goes to general things like just purchasing furniture, appliances, and all kinds of things. A few folks actually send money to their local churches. I know of people who tithe specifically only to their village churches and not their churches in diaspora. Now, if there's any other ways that we spend money that I didn't mention, feel free to let us know, because that is all I can come up with for now. So those of us who live abroad send money in different ways. The first and probably the most common way is to use mobile apps like SendWave, TapTap, and all that to send money. A lot of us do bank-to-bank transfer. Some of us send money to family through our local accounts, where you take money from your local Kenyan account and send it to a family member. Or sometimes we give money to people traveling to Kenya. Now, this used to be the case many, many years ago. It is less common now because there are so many other ways of sending money. In some cases, we actually travel with money, just cash in our bodies that we bring home. And then there's many, many other ways that we use to send money. But the bigger part that I want to focus on is the challenges we face as diasporans. One of the main challenges we face for those of us who send money home is sustaining long-term commitments. For example, if you have like a jobless family member who really needs help, whether it's rent, food, and all that, it can be difficult to sustain that over a long period of time, in part because in a few cases, there are people who engage in what we call learned helplessness. They get used to the idea that they're supported, and so they realize they don't have to work so hard to get things moving. And then in a few other cases, then the sense of entitlement comes in, where a few people behave as if it is their right to get the support from their family in diaspora. So sustaining those long-term commitments can be quite a challenge for people in diaspora. And of course, problems with spouses, where I've seen cases where a person sends like $1,000 to his mom, and then the wife goes to their bank account, takes $1,000, the same amount, sends to half side of family. So whenever spouses are not on the same page as to how this issue is managed, it can bring massive problems. Or there are cases where somebody feels neglected when one spouse is busy spending their joint money on one side of the family and completely neglecting the other side of the family. So yes, this issue of money remittance can bring massive problems in families. And this is also related to people who have issues balancing commitments, because we send money home, but at the same time we have diaspora commitments. We have mortgages to pay, we have rents to pay, we have bills to pay in diaspora. I've seen a few cases where some of us spend so much of our money in Kenya to the point where we have very little left to meet our financial obligations in diaspora. And that can be a massive problem. And of course, over time, new financial pressures can arise. For example, when you lose your income, or you buy a new home and suddenly your expenses go through the roof, or you experience a personal emergency, childcare, or when divorce comes in, things that changes a person's financial standing can also really interfere with your ability to manage finances back at home. And then, of course, unfortunately, sometimes when the financial muscle that comes from diaspora is not well managed, it can be used as a tool of control, where those of us who have money from diaspora may not be as kind to folks we are supporting back at home simply because we have the money. So that is often very unfortunate. But the flip side of it is also true in the sense that for women, it actually helps. Women who can afford to pay for stuff often are given much better treatment compared to those who don't, in terms of those cultural strings that we know constrain women. So I think this is a wonderful thing for women. And then, of course, dishonesty is a major, major problem, where I've seen cases where when a diaspora person comes home and they go for lunch, for example, in a group of folks, in that setting, there may be other people who actually make way more money. But because this individual has come for diaspora, he or she is made to pay the bills. I've seen this among siblings, where you've got 3 siblings, 2 of them are extremely wealthy in Kenya. But the one who is from diaspora is the one who is made to pay the bill. When in fact the diaspora person is the poorer of the siblings. So dishonesty comes in all kinds of ways, or when people divert resources, and this is another topic that requires a full video. The last common issue that we face is lack of appreciation, where I see people send money and support folks, and the very same people that you support are the same ones who are going to give you maximum headache. And so that lack of appreciation is a massive problem. Or you send money, and then the person who receives the money just keeps quiet, waiting for you to call them to ask if they even saw the money. And then when they get your call, like, yeah, I saw it, but all kinds of excuses. Just total lack of appreciation. It's really, really disheartening. So some people simply stop sending money. And I'm going to explain a few reasons why some people just choose to stop, or there are people who move to diaspora and decide not to send money at all. The first group is people who are new. When you're new, you're barely making it. Often most of us make very little money, are struggling to survive, and we can't even send money home. So I hope we have more grace for that group of folks. And then you have a group of folks who just have poor financial literacy, where we come in and we make really disastrous financial decisions. I've seen folks who make a ton of money in diaspora but have no idea how to manage money. And so they'll have trouble sending money back home. There are people who have gambling issues, addiction issues, and things like that. And also you have this group that just have had enough, have been taken advantage of for a long time, and they get to the point where they decide, this is it. I've been betrayed enough, I'm no longer sending money. There are a few folks whose financial status can change, like a loss of a job, and so they're no longer able to send money. Some people, when they get married, priorities can change, or they find a spouse who does not understand that relationship between diaspora and home folks. So yes, marriage can change that. Then, of course, you have tax problems and student loans. So here's some suggestions that I'm going to offer for folks who are grappling with this issue. Number one, make sure you have multiple apps to compare rates. Because there are tons of apps there. Sometimes many of them have better rates than others. Feel free to use Oreas in town, carry cash, use Oreas, and then keep your expectations low. Just because you're giving somebody money does not mean they owe you their lives. So keep your expectations in check. It's okay to cut people off, especially the entitled ones. Trust me, you will not miss heaven simply because you cut people off. In fact, I think you will sit in front, right next to Angel Gabriel. So cut people off, those who are not appreciating you. And then, of course, your peace of mind is just as important. Don't let this thing take your peace of mind away. Do your best to manage your taxes. And also remember, you can't set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. That's not realistic. Also, don't overcommit yourself financially when you have money, because if things change, then you'll become the bad person. So even when you can, it's okay to say no sometimes. Saying no is perfectly normal. Of course, don't loan money, and if you must, give money that your life does not depend on, because 99% of the times you are going to have problems when you loan people money. If married, just make sure you have an independent account that you can manage on your own. It doesn't mean you being dishonest. It simply means there's some things you can manage on your own without really involving your spouse. And of course, be kind. Your money is not a license to pee over everybody. Be kind.